Here we go again, Chris the Dating Doc, and we're going to talk about another new term. Okay, the last video that I did on dating commentary, dating news, was on woke fishing, people that would fake the funk when it came to the movement, right? They would pretend that they're woke when in reality they might be part of the opposite political or leaning, liberal, pretending they're conservative and vice versa. It seems like the terms just don't stop. We got doom swiping now. All right, doom swiping. I don't know. For some reason it reminds me of this tag team called the Legion of Doom. For those that watch wrestling, or used to. So doom swiping, what is it? Okay, first off, let's talk about the origins. Doomscrolling, which was made popular by a Twitter writer named Karen Cahoe, entered the cultural lexicon earlier this year. Concept is simple. One scrolls endlessly on the various social media apps, absorbing the news of the day, which this year especially has been disheartening at best and apocalyptic at worst. Okay, doom swiping, enough said. We know it's folks endlessly swiping on Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, Plenty of Fish, any of those apps, any of those sites, and having the intent of not even really meeting someone. Now, here's the deal. People were doom swiping, if you even want to call it that. Numb swiping is, I think, a better term. That was going on way before the pandemic, way before all this stuff going on. Now, I got it. I completely understand that we are living in a wild, crazy world right now. Everything from on the social justice front, okay? And I'm talking worldwide. Beirut, Hong Kong, us, right? US, election, pandemic, economy, the list goes on, okay? I might be repeating myself, but we understand that there's all kinds of stuff going on. Now, this is where I call a little bit of BS, because a lot of folks are using the pandemic as an excuse of why they're getting they're feeling anxious and lonely and stuff like this. Here's the deal. You as in the single person who's using these apps, you're responsible for your own dating life, okay? If you're the type that's mindlessly swiping, okay, this is not Candy Crush. Okay, keep this in mind. This is not, you're not playing some pixelated game, okay? You're treating humans like the game, and that's not fair. All right, it's not fair at all if you're so self-serving that you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna stare at photos and I'm just gonna mindlessly swipe left and right. For what? Why would you do that to yourself or the other person? You have no intent on meeting them, and all you're doing is adding to the collective atrophy that is dating. People lose hope when they see someone exciting that they could possibly meet and end up with, whether it's long-term or short-term. And then all of a sudden they find out it's just some BS, right? A person ghosts them. They message them for a little bit, and then they get bored, and then rinse and repeat, and they're back to the races. Or they delete the app, and then they figure out how alone they feel, then back to it. Using humans for this short-term cure. No, don't do that. So when you numb internally, you are also externally numbing others. That's exactly the point I'm making. Let's quit doing that. Okay, it's the most selfish thing you can do. And that's what this whole doom swiping thing is all about. So let's keep going down a little bit here. Now, this article, this is where I see gaps in the article, is that, the fact that we can't date the way we usually do is the greatest paradox of doom swiping. We want to opt out of the world around us, at least for the time we're swiping. But then once we actually attempt to make a connection, we're hit extra hard with reality. Nope. Laziness, the flakiness was still happening pre-pandemic. All right, so survey here by Healy users. 23% reported using dating apps as an escape routine. At the same time, 85% of respondents said they want to find a connection eventually. Eventually, okay, eventually could be 2 days from now or 30 years from now. Eventually is very subjective. Okay, so we got here, I'm going to skip a little bit here. This is something Pierce experienced on dating apps. I have this idea that I'm swiping to date and have some semblance of conversation with someone, but that illusion vanishes rapidly when I get a match, he told me. Okay, I open up the app with some kind of intention, but the swiping just becomes another way to stare at the screen and not think about anything. I'm going to sarcastically say this. This is a shout out to Match Group Limited, to Michelle Wolf from Bumble. Thank you so much. Thank you for creating a monster. Okay. We understand that all you really care about is your stakeholders or your stockholders if you're publicly traded. All you care about is making sure that there's enough data and metrics to justify additional funding, right? Or to keep people on the app so they could subscribe to all the different functionalities and widgets. So they could stay on there, and you could have third-party sponsors on there. You really don't care about people matching. You really don't care about helping the human dimension that is dating. You're using the word dating, right, in these apps, but all it has become is a tool for instant gratification and a glorified video game that's using people instead of imaginary characters. That's what's happening with the dating apps. Okay. Doomswiping is just a response, not to the pandemic. It's a response to the app itself. Keep that in mind. Okay. I understand it sucks out there and people want to go to the apps. The apps have been created into this monster that causes anxiety, depression, and loneliness. It's not the cure, it's the problem. So why are we doing this to ourselves? The motivations for doom swiping are multifaceted. Clearly, one of them is the desire to numb ourselves from the world around us. And just like I alluded to, we might crave the potential validation of matching, dopamine hits. All these addictive apps, right? Whether it's Candy Crush, whether it's Clash of Clans, which I used to play years ago, the dating apps, Newsfeed, BuzzFeed, all this stuff, they are created to get a dopamine hit out of you. Okay, keep that in mind. I'm going to do a video later on Social Dilemma, the documentary on Netflix, and how this all ties into dating apps and dating overall. An increased desire for connection, even a virtual one, may be a coping response to such isolation, not Kami explained. Got it. Okay. Doom scrolling into a doom spiral. Swiping to date and for distraction, but not out of boredom. I beg to differ, because he says, person goes on to say, more like trying to keep my brain occupied so I'm not just stewing in constant anxiety. Sorry, but that's boredom, because if you haven't dealt with your anxiety, then you're just numbing yourself, okay? You're bored, because if you really wanted to, you could entertain yourself, you can motivate yourself to work on that anxiety. Instead, you are bored, you are lazy, you don't want to work on your issues, but also having anxiety about dating at the same time, okay? All right, let's see here. This person who's non-binary said they used to only check apps periodically and swipe for maybe 10 minutes. Now, however, they've been spending hours on apps. Again, it's just like TikTok's like these other apps. Digital dating apps are just cousins to all of those. They really are not out for you. They're not in the best interest to create relationships, to better dating overall. No. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay, and this is one that kind of hurts here. People that have really tried to do online dates or Animal Crossing meetups have been getting ghosted, if matches even reply to the messages at all, which feeds into the anxiety about dating. You're going to go through this dopamine burnout if you try to date, right? You really are enthusiastic about meeting someone. Again, it doesn't matter if it's short term or long term. You're like, cool, I'm on this app. There's a human on the other side. They might be 5 or 10 minutes driving distance from me. Wow, he or she's good looking. They're quirky. They're sarcastic. They get my references, and then bam, they ghost. Do you really think you're going to be hopeful after you rinse and repeat that a couple times after this mess that we're in? No, you're going to go through dopamine burnout. You're going to go through dating fatigue, and you're just not going to be motivated to do anything, to be part of this process of healthy dating. We are causing more issues than solutions when it comes to this. Okay, doom swiping is a product of society. So let's quit blaming what's going on right now. Let's quit blaming the apps. It's up to us to reverse that. Okay, let's see here. And I'm going to link this in the description, so just in case you want to read it yourself. And then we see here, prior to the pandemic, Sophia said it was difficult to engage in conversation and lead up to meeting in person. Now matches are asking her to meet up right away to have a drink in their home and asking about sexual preferences early on in the conversation. Normally I would be very protective about people, maybe sexually harassing someone or going too fast for sex. Well, when everyone is ghosting each other, not putting any effort, they might as well slide into sex, because what else are they getting? They're getting from it. They're not getting the conversation. They're not getting the connection. They're not getting healthy communication. So they might as well go straight for the sexual stuff. In a way, I actually don't blame them. I'll be honest. I really don't. All right, let's see here. Got some other stuff here. For someone that's worked 10 years in this field, and I've worked with all kinds of clients, I see a lot of projection here. I really do. I see a lot of like, oh my gosh, this stuff over there is so wrong. Even though I got my own issues to work on, dating sucks, right? Oh, doom swiping. Here's the deal. Okay. And again, you can read this article on your own. Let's recap here. Match Group Limited, Bumble, all those companies, they've created a monster that only cares about data. These are short-sighted dopamine burnouts that we're causing with this doom swiping. We're actually destroying dating. So I'm not even sure if we're at a point collectively that we want to say, you know what, once we get away from this mess, I'm going to respect the dating process. I'm going to make sure that if they're making the effort, I'm going to reciprocate. We're not there yet. Hopefully we get so oversaturated with this mess that we collectively do self-reflect and adjust. But right now I don't see it. And I don't mean that as doom and gloom, right? No coincidence intended here. But again, the stock, I think the stock is very low for digital dating. I do think that it's at an all-time low. And right now we need to push away from it if we want to fix dating overall. The problem is that digital dating, the dating apps, swiping culture has become symbiotic with dating overall, when we could actually detach ourselves from it and get back to really good dating, flirtation, having energy and enthusiasm for creative conversations and in-depth conversations, which leads to increased libido and actually wanting to hook up with that person. And if you don't hook up, you end up together. That's the good stuff. That's what dating should be. Instead, we have all kinds of mess that's causing more issues than solutions, like I said. Keep in mind, the first point I made earlier in the video is that quit treating humans like Candy Crush. Okay, please. All right. If you're gonna doom swipe, don't doom swipe. I'd rather you do something else. Go play on TikTok. Go read a book. Go work on your issues. Okay, meditate. See a therapist. See people like myself. Okay, get help on your issues. For those that are teleworking and away from coworkers, now's the time. Quit blaming and saying, oh, I'm doom swiping because the world sucks. Work on those issues. Okay, I got it, the world sucks. But it's how you respond to it. You yourself define if the world sucks or not. Okay, so my take on this article, it's an effective article, but what I really got out of it was the reminder that we need to step beyond the apps. We need to step beyond even our phone and work on ourselves before we put a tag on a different dating term because we haven't worked on our issues. All right, I'm signing out. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Do not forget to click subscribe and hit like. We need this for algorithms. I'm not a YouTube personality, but I do like to share knowledge. So hopefully you enjoy this if you've stuck around, and keep supporting the channel. Thank you.